Please welcome Discover Puerto Rico Chief Marketing Officer Leah Chandler and Visit Philadelphia President and CEO Jeff Guaracino in conversation with Skift Hospitality Editor Nancy Trejos.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Well, that was a really great presentation by Scott, talking about how short-term rentals are affecting different markets such as yours, both urban and leisure markets. We're thrilled to have you here. Can you both just start by talking about what your organizations do? We can start with Leah. Yours is pretty new, right?
Very new. We're still a baby DMO. We opened our doors July 1st last year, so we are the first ever destination marketing organization for Puerto Rico. For the past 80 years, Puerto Rico has had tourism housed under the government, and through bipartisan legislation in 2017, a DMO was created to privatize tourism. So we had an opportunity to build an organization from the ground up. I was the second employee hired. I live in San Juan. We're now a staff of about 55. So we've grown really, really quickly in an effort to eliminate the kind of government bureaucracy from tourism. Turns out you never really eliminate it, but we certainly have had an opportunity to grow tourism in a new, healthy, sustainable way for Puerto Rico, as opposed to in the past constantly having a lot of changeover every time there's a new administration. Then we're having new staff, we're having new logos, new branding campaigns, et cetera. So it's actually been very hard for Puerto Rico to get a lot of traction as a tourism destination, believe it or not. Tourism only accounts for about 6.5% of our total GDP of the island. So big opportunity for us to grow tourism, and the DMO is going to lead the way.
Yeah, and I've covered it before. So,
thank you.
Jeff?
Good afternoon. Greater Philadelphia Tourism Marketing Corporation, now known as Visit Philadelphia, was started as an experiment back in 1996, which was how can we replace the lost manufacturing jobs from major cities and create a new tax base and tax revenue and put people back to work. And so we were created to market and promote Philadelphia to the leisure visitor, someone who wants to just come to Philadelphia and our 5-county region for fun. And people didn't know much about Philadelphia, maybe a little bit about Rocky, maybe about the Liberty Bell, but also the tourism product wasn't really developed well. And so now we are a $16 million nonprofit organization. Our job is to promote and market Philadelphia and the 5 counties to visitors, TV, PR, advertising, all the expensive kind of things that you think that we should be doing. And we have a staff of about 50. It's a 7-day-a-week operation, 18 hours a day in which to market and promote. And the mission is to build the region's economy, put people to work. More than 103,000 people are supported by the hospitality industry, and our annual visitation is an all-time record at 45 million. We have great expansion happening right now in Philadelphia in both the limited lodging as well as hotel.
Short-term rentals now.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. When did you realize the impact that they could have on your communities?
Well, frankly, most destinations weren't quite ready for short-term rental. They have been built upon a traditional hospitality hotel market. And so our industry in travel and tourism has really been one of the first that have been disrupted in many things, whether it's ride sharing, et cetera. And so we began to take notice of it when it began to really take a substantial portion, maybe 10%, then 14%, maybe growing 20% of the supply. And so then all of a sudden, that is something that the visitor was clearly looking for in a travel experience. And our job is to help the visitor find the best experience in Philadelphia. And it is something that we're still working through. In Philadelphia, our limited short-term rentals are taxed, and the hotel tax. So that does even the playing field somewhat with the hotel community. But there continues to be this little friction between short-term rental and the hotel community, which there are other regulations that they have to abide by that the short-term rentals don't necessarily do.
And we'll get to that. Leah?
So in Puerto Rico, the product is a natural fit for the destination because people are very interested in coming to Puerto Rico and having a super authentic experience, which we know is an overused buzzword in the industry. But honestly, people want to get outside of San Juan. They want to get outside of the metro area. They want to explore regions that are kind of untouched and unknown. And Airbnb and other short-term rental properties give people that opportunity. So the product is a great fit for our destination to start. I think then you look at what happened in 2017 in Puerto Rico with 2 major hurricanes that sustained pretty significant damage across the island, and it was a way forward for our economy. So in Puerto Rico, today short-term rentals account for about 50% of our supply. We have almost the same number of hotel rooms as we do, and we count a short-term rental is just one home, so we don't count every bedroom in the home, so we're even probably under-reporting, honestly, in the supply. But it's a way forward for our economy. Puerto Ricans are able to utilize their homes to rent out, to create an income and drive a livelihood for their families through short-term rentals. So for us, it's not just a piece of our product and a part of kind of what we offer, but tourism is going to lead the way for recovery in Puerto Rico, and short-term rentals have become a really big part of our story.
So hotels are going to reopen, right?
So
How
today,
is that going to affect?
Sure. So today we have 158 hotels open.
Yeah.
Our supply on the hotel side is only down about 12%, 13% from 2017 when the hurricanes hit. So we're almost back to full capacity on the supply side. There are new hotels that are slated to open in the next 2 years, especially in the luxury segment, but certainly we don't see supply slowing down any on the short-term rental side. So it's something we're monitoring very, very closely. Like Philadelphia, we too collect lodging tax from short-term rentals. They're not taxed at the same rate as hotels today, but because we are taxing those short-term rentals, it does, as Jeff said, level the playing field and gives us an opportunity to market them similarly to how we would market hotels.
Right. And you don't market the short-term rentals, obviously, right?
So we don't not market them,
Okay.
is maybe the best way to describe it.
Good answer.
Again, for us, it's just such a natural fit for the destination itself. And we talk about sustainability, we talk about over-tourism. We're a major cruise market. We're a major cruise hub in the Caribbean. So at any given time, and I can attest to this because my office is in Old San Juan, we have cruise ships delivering 20 or 25,000 people into Old San Juan. That takes a toll on the destination. So we're super excited about dispersing those travelers throughout the island and giving them an opportunity to explore what's outside of the metro area. And our short-term rental market is helping us do that, because we have the product, whether you want to visit rainforests or bioluminescent bays or caves or mountains, we've got the tourism product from an attraction standpoint, and now we have the lodging to support that. So it's really helping in a major way through dispersion. And so we market, it is part of our website. We just launched a brand new website at the end of February of this year. Short-term rentals are a part of that. Our short-term rental partners in the industry are able to co-op our programs. So when we, offer cooperable, I don't know if that's the word, cooperative programs through, whether it's developing new assets. So we help our partners shoot videos and do photography shoots. We offer those to our short-term rental property owners the same way we would our hoteliers.
You mentioned the tension, right? There are cities that are cracking down on short-term rentals, including New York and LA. So what do you do when a DMO strategy maybe goes against a city strategy? How do you handle that?
Well, each city is very different, and for different reasons why they're cracking down, or that there's a tension between the short-term rental, or even when you look in London with Uber and the tension that continues to happen there. And I think partly this is a way for the destination or for the residents or for the local governments and the new experiences to get a level set. So I consider it almost a part of the natural process of dealing with innovation and something completely new. For us, when we began to embrace, because we needed the extra room, as we've talked about, it is not as much of an issue in terms of that tension. I do think that what you do have is visitors who are looking for the experience that limited lodging provides. And so all of a sudden, maybe these global international hotel chains may not have necessarily anticipated that or could react as quickly and to build that kind of experience. And they may not want to necessarily be in that business line. But that does cause pressure, because when all of a sudden either you are taking revenue, you have to grow the pot so that everyone is growing. And in Philadelphia, we're on a 10-year growth, both in revenue, in visitation, tourism. So I think the opportunity and then the obligation is that we have to keep growing tourism and keep growing the visitor economy. So in Philadelphia, we don't have as much of the experience, but I will tell you, in other destinations, sometimes they might have the laws on the books where limited lodging has to, or short-term rental has to abide by certain rules, but there's not centralized governance. So then that becomes an issue for the local tourism agency.
Right. Leah, thoughts?
For Puerto Rico, we're very fortunate that the growth strategy of the island is aligned with growth strategy of short-term rentals and how we're promoting short-term rentals. So we haven't had that tension. I think as it relates to how hotels kind of view the way we market or we partner with short-term rentals, there is some tension that's growing there, because we are seeing today demand that is kind of sliding on hotels, and we're seeing demand for short-term rentals in the past 12 months up 90%. So if I had graphs here, you would see, demand really starting to decrease for hotels, and of course it's increasing for the short-term rentals. And because they're paying into that lodging tax, there isn't a really strong argument against promoting them, but there's tension there. And I think, as DMOs, it's our role to see how do we build the marketing program for the future that incorporates both entities in a mutually beneficial way.
Right. And it's also your goal or obligation to make sure that locals are okay with the visitors you're bringing in, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we saw today, I think it's been mentioned, Airbnb is now regulating some of their properties more, such as not allowing big parties in condos and apartments. So how do you balance your destination marketing with your destination management?
So for us, it's an interesting balance of power and responsibility. We do have a government organization, the Puerto Rico Tourism Company, that does destination management. So they are in charge of the regulatory side of tourism. And then as the DMO, we're in charge of the promotional and marketing global sales strategy for tourism. So we do work hand in hand with them. And it is important that we understand how that regulation could impact the way that visitors perceive what's happening on the island, especially in short-term rentals. So no DMO, no destination is without issues when it comes to all kinds of lodging properties.
Right.
That there's incidents that happen in every destination. So when those things do take place, then we're working collectively with the government organization for tourism to make sure we're managing that messaging. For Puerto Rico, I think everyone in the island understands how important this is to the economy, and it's not just the lodging side of it. Airbnb launched Airbnb experiences in San Juan, and this was an opportunity, to go beyond lodging for a disruptor brand, if you will. So it's now people who can offer surfing lessons on the west coast of the island, or can offer cooking lessons in their homes in Old San Juan. So we're able to really show how these disruptor brands like Airbnb is able to grow the economy, not just through lodging, but now through experiences too. So we're very, very fortunate that the government organization that's moving sort of the management of the island forward is very well aligned with the DMO.
I think we're in very different positions, because with Puerto Rico coming off of a hurricane and with everything that's happening there, with tourism being one of the major drivers towards the recovery, Philadelphia is in a continuation of diversifying our economy between education, healthcare, and tourism. And so it's a little different, because we collectively try to tackle the issue that's at hand and to try and grow jobs. And so it's a little bit more cooperative than it might be in other destinations that might be experienced. But I do want to just echo about the experience and what we do. People buy the experience. They have to want to come to do something. And so then once they decide they want to come to do whatever activity that may be, then they're going to look for, is it a Marriott? Is it a short-term rental? Is it whatever the experience is? So you're beginning to see the trend of whether it's Marriott Bonvoy or Airbnb experiences. They're kind of following what the DMOs have been doing all along, which is promoting shopping, dining, things you can do, other things you might want to do, and reasons for you to come back.
Right. And so these properties make it easier for people to explore your destinations, right? So it brings people in, right? So what about over-tourism? It can lead to that. We talked about this a little bit earlier. How do you combat that? Because that is a big problem as well.
It is. You have to look at it with a long view. Very often, people are taking a short view of a particular problem and say, how do we handle this particular thing? But we take the long view. So when you're looking at destination management and product development and visitor management, you have to do that in a balance. I think one of our bigger issues now is while there's the increase in ride shares, you have a decrease in taxis in some cities. Right. So it's really hard to find a regular taxi if you're looking for that. So we are trying to balance how do you address the rapidly growing technology and consumer wants. There's 4 generations of travelers, Gen Z all the way to boomers, and they all want something different on their trip. And so I think that's a real opportunity for the travel industry if we're responsive to what visitors want. And I think that's where we're getting more and more in terms of safety, experiences, some regulations, and how to make the playing field level.
Leah, you talked about this.
Right. For us, I mentioned dispersion and how important that is. And I'm sure like many destinations, we're using a data program called Arrivalist, where we're monitoring where people are coming from and then where they're going once they get onto the island. So they might see a Discover Puerto Rico ad when they're at their home in Minneapolis. We're able to track that device when it comes to the destination and arrives in the destination. They might fly into the airport in San Juan, but then we're able to see where else do they go throughout the island. So we're establishing these points of interest, and we're now through that technology able to share where else people are going. And for us, that's just critically important to the conversation about over-tourism. We talk about the cruise industry a lot in Puerto Rico, and again, we love when people come and explore the old city, but there's so much more to see beyond San Juan in Puerto Rico. And a lot of it is within a 4 or 5 hour drive. People can easily get to the rainforest. They can easily get to the south side of the island to experience arts and culture and history. So for us, we've gone through a whole brand repositioning to share what else there is in Puerto Rico beyond the beaches. And now we're getting that message out. And through short-term rentals, people are having the opportunity to stay in those areas and not just visit for a day.
I've been all over the island, by the way.
It's fabulous.
So, now, what do you think of master lease models such as Sonder and Domio, and how do they differ from Airbnb, and do you deal much with them?
They do differ quite a bit, and frankly, I think they're creating a new segment that might be more appealing to business travelers or travelers who are not so interested in staying in someone's home, like that kind of local, but more professionally managed, or if they're frequently coming to a city like Philadelphia to do business with Comcast or with a university, they want to feel a little bit more at home. And so, or for people who regularly come back, like we have a high repeat visitation rate, about 80% of the visitors come back for a reason. They want to be a little bit more like, how would it be like to live here? And so frankly, I think that it's a welcomed addition between someone's home to professionally managed with building amenities that I think will help to grow our tourism industry.
Okay. So do you consider short-term rentals to be part of hospitality? And what do you think your future will be with them moving forward?
They are absolutely a part of hospitality. There should be a welcomed part of hospitality. You've seen just within Puerto Rico and also in Philadelphia. I think the future is how does short-term rentals tap into the ability to make your host super host by being a great concierge, by tapping into how to refer special needs or requests that you may get. There really still at least is a gap between the Sonders, the other kinds of companies, to where there isn't a regular flow of communication that would help them sell more rentals, make them better hosts, give a better visitor experience, because travelers are still going to want to know, where is a great place to be, where exactly is this, and how do I get to something else? And so I think that's the opportunity for all of us to grow tourism and make it a better visitor experience.
Leah, last 30 minutes you get them.
Yes, the only thing I would add is it's really, really critical. DMOs have a big opportunity to educate short-term rental owners and operators, just like we do the hoteliers and restaurateurs, show them how we use our website, show them the resources that are available through the DMO. Right now we've been going and doing road shows around the island and meeting with all kinds of people to show them how we can help grow their business. So I think there's a big opportunity for DMOs to help in that education process and bring them along. They're part of our industry now.
And I'll just add that I think that people who are, let's say, Airbnb hosts, they naturally, at least most of them, love the city and destination they're in. They're our biggest civic pride producers, and they want to show people where they are. And I think that's a great opportunity for destinations to rethink civic pride campaigns and to activate their residents who really love where they are and give them a great megaphone. And I'm really excited about that potential in the future.
Well, thank you. I'm excited as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.